All right, ITA511. What we're going to talk about is this foreign-looking document. It's called a US Customs and Border Protection Entry Summary. This is the US B3. As you can see down in the bottom right-hand corner, it's called Form 7501. Instead of a B3, they call it a 7501. So what we're going to talk a little bit about is U.S. Customs clearance. The reason why we teach U.S. Customs clearance is a lot of the customs brokers that you're going to be working for will also be U.S. Customs brokers as well. UPS is a good example, Federal Express, Schenker. A lot of these companies have offices on both sides of the border. And although you won't be clearing goods into the United States, it's a good thing to know about the process and know how to calculate duties when you're talking to customers, because you can help them out with their questions. So U.S. Customs procedures. U.S. Customs and Border Protection, they deal with something called the Tariff Act of 1930. Okay, and they're responsible for making sure to protect the border. Okay, commercially as well as security-wise, it's a very, very important thing to U.S. Border and Customs and Border Protection. I'll show you what I mean in a second when I compare them to Canadian Customs. So, you know, they do enforce U.S. trade laws and collect duties, but they do other things as well, as listed on this particular slide. So there's a comparison between CBSA and U.S. Customs. So CBSA reports to the Department of Public Safety. Our customs entries the B3, collect duty and taxes. We're worried about compliance and security. They're civil servants, okay, meaning they work for the Canadian government. U.S. Customs Border Protection is a little different. They report to something called the Department of Homeland Security. The customs entry is called a 7501, just like I showed you. They collect duties and other fees. There's no universal sales tax. In Canada, we have GST, Goods and Services Tax. In the United States, there's no federal sales tax. However, they do have other fees they collect, and we'll show you how to calculate those when we do the calculations. They're worried about compliance and security. Well, in the United States, Canada's worried about compliance and security. In the United States, it's border protection. They're law officers. They carry guns. CBSA acts as a trade facilitator and a collector of tax for the Canadian government, while U.S. Customs exists to protect American people. A little bit different mindset than you deal with Canada Customs. A little bit different equipment, a lot more military style mindset than CBSA, and it ordered that very famous wall that we've been hearing about the last 4 years that never got built. But in some places there is a wall. This is Nogales, Mexico, and this is Nogales, the United States. So this is the wall between the two countries. This is their mission statement, and you know, terrorism is a big thing with the United States. U.S. Customs. Organizational structure, well, there's ports of entries, and that's places where people land at airports or at U.S. Border crossings from the United States, probably from Canada and from Mexico. And there's smaller airports that are U.S. Customs clearance is required as well. So, how does this work? Well, a conveyance arrives in the United States with freight on board. There's a thing called the automated commercial system, okay, and it's used by CBSA to track, control, and process all the commercial goods coming into Canada, into the United States, I should say. And there's various features of this particular automated commercial system. There's an e-manifest, so when truck shipments come, they transmit their manifest like our cargo control document to U.S. Customs, and an hour prior to arrival, and also the customs entry needs to be with Customs before arrival as well. There's a pre-arrival processing system where the carrier transmits information to Customs as well as the broker, just like we do here in Canada, and then the broker retransmits the Customs manifest plus the Customs entry together to Customs Border Protection, so that when the truck arrives, he can be cleared quickly. Very similar to the way that we do things here in Canada. There is a thing called border cargo selectivity. It's a computerized system where the United States distinguishes between risky and non-risky transactions coming across the border between Canada and the United States. I talk about shipments from border shipments, truck shipments, mostly because most of the freight that you would deal with between Canada and the United States, from Canada to the United States, is highway shipments. So the freight's offloaded to a warehouse, or it sits and waits for customs clearance. The importer the carrier has to show that he has the right to ask for a customs clearance by the importer. So they have a thing called evidence of right to make entry. And they use the bill of lading or the carrier certificate to show that this carrier has the right to import the goods, to carry goods into the United States for the importer. That must be shown to Customs in order to do the customs entry. There's an entry into U.S. Customs, a two-part exercise. They file the documents to get the goods released, just like in Canada. Then after the filing of the documents, they do a counting of the goods to assess the duty and all the statistical information, just like in Canada. So within 15 days of shipment arriving in the United States, the entry documents must be filed to get the good released. Okay. A manifest, the evidence of right to make entry, a copy of the commercial invoice or a pro forma invoice like a Canada Customs invoice, and packing lists are required as well. If the goods are to be released, okay, we must, after their customs released, the customs broker has 10 working days to give the entry summary documents, which is the customs entry form 7501, which calculates all the duties and all the fees and gives all statistical information. If no entry has been filed for the goods at the port of entry, within 15 days of the goods arriving, the goods are taken to a place called a general order warehouse where they sit, and then after 6 months they're surrendered to U.S. Customs, who sells them at public auction or destroyed, or the goods are destroyed. Now let's look at the harmonized tariff. The harmonized tariff is very similar to the Canadian customs tariff. Uses 10 HS digits just like in Canada, but of course the first 6 digits are the only ones that are the same. You also have different columns. You got units that has to be declared on the Customs 7501 entry. You got the duty rate, special duty rate, and then what we call general tariff. And I'll show you. Here we have the most favored nation tariff. We have special tariff treatments with regards to the Canada-US-Mexico agreement, things of that nature, and then general tariff for countries which they have no trade agreement with. So a shipment from North Korea would be in this particular column. Now there are other fees that are charged. One is called a merchandise processing fee, and you have a shipment come in, you pay the duty, but you also pay a merchandise processing fee, and it's 0.3464% of the value of the good. Now, if the calculation is comes up to be under $25, you have to pay $25. So the minimum amount that has to be paid is $25. If the calculation comes up to an amount that's more than $485, you only have to pay the $485. So it's a minimum charge of $25, a maximum charge of $485. Shipment values less than $2,000 are assessed a $2 fee. and it's used to pay U.S. Customs expenses. It is waived if the goods qualify for CUSMA, however. The other fee that you need to pay is something called a harbor maintenance fee, and that's for shipments that are imported waterborne commercial cargo, so that shipments come by ocean or shipment comes by the Great Lakes, and the money is used to maintain and repair U.S. harbors. The amount is 0.125% of the value of the good. We'll show you how we do this a little bit later on. It's waived if the goods qualify for CUSMA. Okay. There is an informal entry. Shipments worth less than $2,000 can be just done as an informal entry. We don't need to go through the whole process. The formal entry are shipments where we have to go through the normal process, but something that's very different that has to happen. It's called a surety bond. When you import into the United States, the importer must have a bond with U.S. Customs, meaning they have posted security to ensure that the duties and fees are going to be paid and all the customs requirements are going to be complied with. So the bond is like an insurance policy. In Canada, that is not the case. An importer does not have to have a bond with Canada Customs. The customs broker has a bond with Canada Customs, and the customs broker ensures that this trust thing where the customs broker ensures that the goods are going to be duty paid and compliance with customs requirements is going to happen. In the United States, the importer has to post a bond. Now, most importers can post a bond that is good for multiple entries, yearly or something of that nature. Although you can have a bond for just the entry that you have going through customs. So if you import in the United States infrequently and you're clearing it through customs, you can just post a bond for that particular shipment. Okay. Again, bond is like an insurance policy, so it guarantees to customs that the duties and fees are going to be paid. Okay. Now, after the customs release happens and the duties and taxes are paid, the final step is called liquidation. 314 days after the entry summary was filed, the 7501, if customs is satisfied with the entry is liquidated. That means the shipment cannot be altered and is final. So customs will basically guarantee that the shipment is okay and the shipment is liquidated, and they will not be asking for any additional duty or asking for additional paperwork, things of that nature. It's a bit confusing sometimes to importers. They'll say they got this notice of liquidation. It sounds very ominous, liquidation, but all it means is your importation 314 days ago is final, and no more duties and taxes or duty and fees will be paid.